So they actually did it. They were able to strike lightning in a bottle for a second time, as the second season of Cruel Summer, the anthology series, was just so gripping, so unbelievable, so shocking, and it was at the same level as the incredibly other awesome first season of Cruel Summer. It is such a tragic shame that this anthology series has been cancelled, as the third season could have been so good. They could have even combined certain characters together and seen what would have happened next once more people found out the truth about all of the crazy things about these certain characters. And on that point, this is going to be a full-on spoiler deep dive of both season 1 and season 2. As like I said, they were just so incredible and I've just got so much to say about them. Both seasons were just so well crafted in terms of telling in parallel storylines, the past, the present, and the future, and it was just so incredibly well done, as this kind of a premise could be incredibly confusing, but the way in which they just use cinematography in terms of people's outfits, people's hairstyles, and just the tone and the sepia use of colour was able to distinguish all of the various timelines, and it was just done in such a way that you could easily follow everything together, and they were just really clever in terms of certain episodes. For example, someone's birthday, you get to see it across those three timelines. Like I said, it was just crafted so well, and I'm really glad that they just didn't go down the traditional route in terms of making certain characters very black and white, but instead of that, they actually added so much shades of grey, so these characters really do feel like real life characters, as they're so layered, they're so flawed, they're capable of doing such unbelievable inhumane things, but because you're so with them, you're just able to immediately feel all of their emotions, why they are doing certain things. For example, Olivia Holt's Kate Willis character murdering the person that has been trapping her and kidnapping her, even though she was in love with him for so long. It was honestly just so brilliantly put together. And as these characters are doing such crazy things, what is really interesting is that only certain characters and the viewer will really know the truth about what actually went down, as none of the other characters potentially could find out the truth, which I just think is so unbelievable. As like I said, these characters are so dark, so evil, and so capable of doing such crazy things. And I love the final sting of a twist that they leave you with in the final few moments just before the credits roll in both season 1 and season 2, as it is just so mind-blowing. And your mind is just going crazy, as firstly the reveal is just so unexpected, so twisty, and just so shocking, but then also you're able to immediately put all of the clues together and see, oh my goodness, this is what actually went down, so really this person isn't as innocent as you are made to believe in the final few episodes. So with season 1 first, we find out that actually Jeanette did know that Kay Wallace was actually trapped in the basement in Martin's house, and chose not to do anything because she wanted to obviously take over her life. She liked the fact that this girl that she has been idolizing for so long is now out of the picture, and she can pretty much take over her life, so it's just so unbelievable. But they definitely do put the clues there. For example, when she is imitating, actually pretending to be innocent when she really is not innocent, and just pretending to be shocked when actually they found out where Kate was this whole time, and just acting innocent, obviously doing this whole lawsuit, and everything that Jeanette was doing was obviously to make herself seem like she is actually the victim, whereas in actual fact, she really did know the truth. All of the casts are really, really good, so let's go through them one by one. So first of all, Chiara Aurelia was so good in terms of playing with this character across the three timelines, and at first you just see that she is such a sweet girl, such a nice girl, and somebody that always looks at wanting to be popular and seeing this as her goal. And then when she gets the opportunity to take over Kate's life, she relishes it. And I just absolutely loving being the popular girl. She drops Mallory completely and gets new best friends, which is pretty much Kate's old best friend, steals Kate's boyfriend. And now we're just living this popular dream, but then obviously that dream then shatters in front of her when actually Kate comes back and then reveals to everybody that actually Jeanette knew the truth and chose not to do anything about it. And then everything that transpired in terms of the next couple of episodes after this was happening, in terms of who's telling the truth, who is actually the innocent party, how did Kate actually get trapped in the basement, how did she escape, who on earth was Annabelle, why can't she remember the final few moments of how she escaped, who was her rescuer. All of those things were just so brilliantly just shown, and just so shocking and incredibly uncomfortable just seeing how everything transpired as well. But what I did think was really, really interesting is that they actually did show that Kate willingly went into Martin's house. Of course, all of the grooming that then took place was really uncomfortable to watch, but I did think it was interesting that actually what Kate is now claiming to the world in terms of, you know, she was in the basement the whole time, wasn't always the truth. So you do see that both Kate and Jeanette, like I said, are keeping a lot of the truth from the police and everybody in this town's understanding of what really went down. And I also love the final episode when finally you see Kate and Jeanette coming face to face and actually working together to work out what on earth happened to Kate in the basement. And then when she was able to just shoot the person that has been trapping her this whole time, a lot of Beauty and the Beast vibes when you are finding out what's happening while she is under there. But actually, instead of falling in love with him and potentially allowing him to get away with it or potentially having a future with Martin, she actually ends up killing him. And her mind just does a mind blank and she doesn't even remember all of this stuff. Olivia Holt was just absolutely phenomenal, absolutely excellent portrayal of Kate Willis, and she just played her in such a good way, as she just had to play a wide range of different emotions. And of course this is obviously what an actor is supposed to do, but Olivia Holt just threw herself into it, and I feel like Olivia Holt really does love meaty character roles, as she was also so good playing KaDee in Cloak and Dagger, which that character also does go through a lot of crazy things. So I feel like Olivia Holt is just absolutely formidable, and I feel like her future in Hollywood as an actress is going to be so bright. And even though she was the popular girl right in the beginning of the first timeline, actually very similarly to Blair Waldorf in Gossip Girl, they showed that there's so much more layers to popular people, and actually you got to see that actually her transformation by the end of this series was just so dramatic. So I just feel like this character was just so brilliantly portrayed by Olivia Holt. I feel like they definitely could have done a lot more with Froy Gutierrez, who's pretty much a dopey guy that goes from Kate, then goes to Jeanette, and even though he does do a few things in between, I feel like they definitely could have involved him a lot more, which they definitely did learn from, as of course Luke in the second season was pretty much at the center of it all. So I feel like it was really good that actually they improved that aspect in terms of really interweaving the boyfriend into it, apart from just going from one to the other. Harley Quinn was really good playing Mallory, a very layered character, and even though they didn't do much with the Jamie character, I feel like Mallory was super involved. If anything, she felt like the third lead, especially midway through the series, as she was so close with Jeanette in the beginning. And then when she goes to Kate's side, in the beginning, I thought Kate was just doing this because she just wanted to get dirt on Jeanette. And maybe that was the case. But then by the end of it, they did actually have a true, genuine friendship. Even though they explored a few storylines with Vincent, I feel like he was very forced in here. If they had a bit more time, they definitely could have fleshed out his storyline and just expanded upon that. Whilst it was interesting, it just kind of felt very secondary. I loved all of the parent characters though. You can really see that Jeanette's mother just did not believe her or trust her, and actually was right to do so. Her motherly instinct was correct in this case. And I also loved Kate's mother. I feel like she was brilliant. You can totally see her, very similarly, like I said, to some of the parents from Gossip Girl, in terms of just wanting all of the money, all of the success, and just not wanting her reputation to be destroyed at all. And even though she is a bit of a wicked mother at points, she does love Kate at the same time. And then we have Martin, who was obviously portrayed as a really bad, evil person in terms of all of the grooming, all of the kidnapping, all of the lies, all of the trapping, all of the manipulation. So such an evil person. But what was interesting is that you can really see how he slowly integrated himself into Kate's world, his obsession with her. In a weird way, you can see that Jeanette and Martin are both obsessed with Kate, and just the lengths that they will both go to in order to achieve their particular ambitions was just so unbelievable. Now we have to talk about season 2. So honestly, going into season 2, I was like, no way is it going to be able to be on the same level as season 1, which was just so phenomenal. So honestly, I did not think the second season could be at the same level as the absolutely incredible first season. I was pretty much writing this off, as I was like, there's no chance, especially when I found out this is an anthology series and we're going to have brand new characters that's going to be completely disconnected to the first season. But then, to my shock and amazement, actually season 2 was on the same level, and it was just so shocking, so gripping. All of the characters were just so good, and it was just such a gripping murder mystery. Of course, we had Martin's murder in the first season, but the whole mystery wasn't around that, whereas this time it is all around who is the person that killed Luke Chambers. And to an extent, it was pretty much all of these characters. The showrunner did say that, you know, it could have been anyone that made that final blow, but then you do find out that actually it was Isabella, which was just so shocking. I mean, the fact that it was Brent right at the end and it was a bit of an accident, you can kind of see all of the clues that were leading into that being the case. But then, when you find out that actually it was Isabella in that final killer twist, it was just so unbelievable. And then, very similarly though, you can see all of the clues as to identify why and how it was Isabella. My jaw was literally on the floor. It was very 13 Reasons Why, Pretty Little Liars, Riverdale inspired, and the police must have been going crazy in terms of all of these brand new revelations constantly coming pretty much on a daily basis. And all of these characters are pretty much lying to them, and they're just finding out more and more clues. So I just think it's just so hilarious from the police perspective, as they just can't trust anyone, and they're just having a crazy time having all of this new information constantly coming their way. So like I said, it could have been any of them, but you definitely can see all of the clues now that in hindsight, that they did kind of lay out really clearly. For example, Izzy just being really jealous of the relationship between Luke and Megan, just wanting Megan for herself, constantly saying that three's a crowd, and just being really hostile when it was just Izzy and Luke together. For example, saying, you know, I'm going to take Megan, she is bigger than this town. The history of people dying and drowning in her past, maybe she killed Lisa, I guess that is one unanswered question. Obviously becoming so obsessed with Megan, just wanting her for all for herself, just wanting to be really best friends with her, saying that she would even kill for her. All of Luke's lies and manipulation, for example, kissing Izzy and then blaming Izzy, and then saying that Izzy is just coming in between him and Megan. I feel like Luke should have been a bit more cleverer. Obviously he's tied up. He shouldn't be infuriating and just adding fuel to fire with these two women, as of course the famous saying is, hell hath no fury like a woman scorns. So I feel like Luke could have been a bit more intelligent, as obviously he was unintentionally winding Izzy up, which ultimately led her to kill him when she found his half-dead body. Izzy really is one of those characters that you do not want to double cross, as she was so happy to be best friends again right at the end. With Megan, she was obviously reflecting back to the old days in terms of when they were really happy together, when they were really close, as clearly this friendship means so much to Izzy, and maybe means more to Izzy than it does to Megan. But when Megan rejected her and was like, look, you have just done too much and I just cannot be best friends with you anymore, then Izzy was like, alright then, I am just going to look out for myself then, and just pretty much framed Megan and pretty much had her going down for Luke's murder, was able to get her passport back, and then was running away and now going to have somebody else that she is going to do this to. It was just such a shocking ending, and very similarly to Saltburn, it really does give you a lesson about being really careful about the people that you invite into your life, as they can be so destructive with your life. Very similarly, if Izzy hadn't come into their life, then Megan and Luke could have maybe eventually gotten together, had a really nice friendship. She wouldn't have made the fake ID, she wouldn't have lost her scholarship, and she could have quite literally had a happily ever after. But Izzy coming into Megan's life has pretty much destroyed it. So let's speak about all of the characters now one by one. So Stacey Stanley was so good in portraying Megan. Very similarly to Jeanette, was a really sweet and nice girl when she was growing up, and then saw this really dark side of Izzy's character in terms of somebody who is super confident, really outgoing, really well traveled, seems to be always having fun, and just wants to be unintentionally inspired by her, but then goes on a very dark path. And even though in the beginning their friendship was really solid, after a series of unfortunate events and things taking place, Izzy's bad influence over her just pretty much ruined her life, which, like I said, it was just so shocking to see. Especially the moment when she loses her scholarship, when she is nearly going to be framed. The love of her life has now died. She is now working with another computer hacker. I guess what is one positive ending is, of course, the fact that she has now got a job despite the fact that she isn't going to uni, and like I said, that she is losing everybody. But she does now know the truth, so I'm sure in a very similar way to how Brent was able to get Megan out of jail, I'm sure that she will very similarly get Brent out of jail, which could also get Steve out of jail too. One storyline that I wish that they would have explored a little bit more is what happened to her real father. I mean, you had a blink and you missed it appearance when he was kissing Debbie, but outside of that, you didn't really know that much about him. Lexi Underwood was just on fire with Isabella. She created this character in such a good way, and such an elevation from her role in Little Fires Everywhere, where very similarly she kind of was the outsider and was pretty much ruining a lot of people's lives. And I think it's really interesting, as when you do get an outsider in a very small town, then they'll never really be accepted. But I feel like Izzy was really determined to enter into this space and did a good job in terms of partnering herself with Megan, who is pretty much adored and loved by everybody. So very similarly was accepted and integrated herself into this world. She's very vibrant, very self-reliant, very streetwise, and really clever, but I feel like she has also got a really clingy personality and is just incredibly passionate, and just could not stand the fact that Megan in her eyes was being taken away by Luke, and then Luke is just planting all of these seeds in Megan's mind, even though she was kind of doing the same thing against Luke with Megan. Because she is so street smart, like I said, she is not one to be messed with, and you can really see all of the clues as to what led to all of these unfortunate events taking place. Now she's going to be doing it to another person that she is meeting on the plane, and like I said, also you don't know if she was the person that maybe killed her best friend Lisa in the past. Griffin Gluck was also so good as Luke Chambers. I think he did such a brilliant performance, very similarly to Megan. Such a nice, sweet guy right in the beginning, and then just gets unfortunately influenced whilst he's growing up as well. I guess everybody does kind of make mistakes, but his one was pretty bad, especially having an older brother that is a really bad influence, and a father that will always get you out of everything, and is very rich, is very privileged, and is just able to use this in a way to kind of be the boy with all of the other guys. But very similarly to Jeanette, does have a bit of an evil streak in him, and I guess unintentionally he just went to battle with the wrong person, as Isabella is not one to be messed with, and he did kind of wind a lot of people up by the end of it, as he was pushing Steve away, Brent away, Megan away, Izzy away, which was just such a shame. I absolutely loved Steve. I think he was such an incredibly well-layered secondary character, as he is just such a strong guy. He's obviously made such a brilliant life for himself. Unfortunately, his wife has passed away, but he's been really successful and is just such a strong patriarchal figure. And I think it was really interesting, as it really did show that having rich power and influence can even avoid your son going to jail or having a criminal record. But by the end of it, because Brent confessed to everything, then unintentionally the consequence of this is that Steve's world is now going to come shattering down. And the sheriff was really, really good. Like I said, pretty hilarious, that constantly finding out brand new information, but kind of put all of the clues together in a really good way. And Brent was such a bad influence, a true bad guy, always getting away with his evil actions, even though Luke was trying to make him look really bad by putting his tape on. Unintentionally, he actually put his tape on. It was just so good. Honestly, the first and second season of Cruel Summer were just so good. This anthology series was just absolutely brilliant and mind-blowing, especially the final few moments just before the credits roll. And it's just such a travesty and such a crime that we're not going to get a third season and a fourth season and a fifth season, as this series could have gone on for ages, as it was just put together so well. But at least we got 2 very good seasons, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give both of them a solid 8 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What on earth did you think of the first and second season of Cruel Summer? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.